Now, I know this might be hard to comprehend, but there's something about the way a farm smells, sort of like figgy and dry hay and obviously the manure, but all of it kind of comes together to create this like uniquely New England smell. And I love it. It's a good sign of a good morning right there. It's a good omen. Let's continue to shoot because we got a lot of things to photograph today. I was so close to the camera there for some reason. Why did I get this close? So we're out here in the farmlands of Western Massachusetts with the Mamiya Universal with the 100mm f2.8 lens. It's on Kodak Portra 160. And what I really want to do today is just photograph the farmlands. First place I photographed was this old farmstead in Hadley. You know, there was a lot of like old trucks and the reflections were just perfect in that early morning light. And it just makes photography so much more fun when you have good lighting and there's reflections and there's fog off in the distance. You know, everything just kind of comes together and you're just excited. And once you get the first couple of shots out of the way, everything just seems a lot easier. That's one thing that I've always said about photography is like, if you go out and you don't shoot, you know, for the first hour or 2 hours, you kind of get like sucked into this like mode of like, I'm gonna wait until I find the perfect image. And then you sometimes will go an entire day without taking a single shot or taking 1 or 2 images. But I always like to start my day, whatever it is, even if it's something dumb. Actually, I stopped at a truck stop and took a photograph of a McDonald's drive-thru, which was really terrible. It was a long exposure, and I'm not used to taking long exposures with this camera. And I kind of like put my face in front of it at the end to see if it was good, and the shutter was still open. So my face might be in that one, but I just really wanted to take a first shot and just kind of get that out of the way and get the juices flowing. And that helped a lot, kind of build a little confidence and just put me in gear. But I've been photographing the farmlands for, God, almost 4 years now. And it's been a project that's like off and on, and I'm just trying to figure out really what I want to do with it. And today's video is just mostly going to be a journal entry, talking about this camera, the woes, and talking about the struggles of working on a project over a long period of time. That's an entire roll right there. Terrible lighting. One big issue I have with this camera is that they don't tend to work very well. I've had so many issues with this camera since getting it. I have 2 bodies, 1 lens, and a couple of film backs. The film backs are great. They all work fine. The bodies are sort of hit or miss, I think. This body, the rangefinder, is set correctly, at least a minor discrepancy, but fairly accurate. The other body I have, I've adjusted the rangefinder on it, and I can't seem to get them to work right. I can find close focusing, and then when I look out to find infinity, it's off by like a lot. And then when I try to adjust for infinity, I go back and check my close focusing, and it's off by a lot. So like they don't coincide very well. And I think there's just something wrong with that rangefinder, but that's something that I guess a lot of people experience with these cameras. And if you're looking to get one of these cameras, you can look forward to that as well, because it's something that is pretty darn common. And there's not a lot of people that fix these, by the way, from what I've found. So your best bet is to buy a couple of bodies and just tinker. Man, it has been quite some time since I've been out here in the Oxbow, and I miss it sometimes. I mean, I think about it. It's always like, you know, in the summer, I want it to be fall and winter, and in the winter, I want it to be spring and summer. And then, like, whenever I'm in those times, I'm always just wishing that the things would change. But the thing is about these farmlands is that they don't often change very quickly, or very much over time. I mean, obviously this area changes quite dramatically because it's right next to a river, the Connecticut River. And as you get closer to the riverbank, it just erodes and erodes and erodes, and just the land gets pulled back further and further every year. And I find that fascinating, but it is really hard to take pictures of. But, you know, that's one of the things about documenting farmlands, is that things change incrementally every single season, every single passing year. And if you're not diligent enough, you're gonna miss it. And sometimes it takes a little break to realize the amount of changes that are happening, because when you're in it and when you're actually taking photos every single day or a couple times a week, you don't see those small changes. And slightly different perspective certainly helps. So I'm gonna wander around a little bit and see what we can find. Man, I will say though, the one thing that I haven't gotten used to with this camera, and in particular the lens, is just how long it is. I mean, I'm used to shooting with the 65mm lens on the Fuji GSW, so I get really close to a scene, and then I look through the viewfinder or the rangefinder, and I'm like, ooh, I'm way too close. And then I'm constantly pulling myself further and further away. And it's gonna take a little bit more time, because this is really my first time out shooting in the field with the camera, so I'm not super accustomed to the focal length just yet. But it's one of those things that I'm constantly having to readjust and realign my composition, and I'm more, you know, kind of tuned in on, like, if I'm getting everything in focus in terms of depth of field. So kind of difficult, but something I'm working on. It's been about 4 hours now. It's been a good long day of shooting, 4 rolls of film in the can, and I'm excited to see what they yield. I'm such an idiot. All right, you can tell I woke up at 3:30 in the morning today. It's been long. All right, let's get out of here. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.